this training and have been authorized to operate that specific lift. Scissor and boom lifts are designed to be operated on hard, level surfaces and have a rated load capacity that should never be exceeded. Do not work over the top of elevated power lines. Do not sit or climb on the edge of the basket, or use planks, ladders, or other devices to gain greater working height or reach. When using a boom lift, attach your personal fall arrest system to the manufacturer's anchorage point in the basket. Do not attach to adjacent structures. Vehicle heavy equipment safety. Operating a vehicle or piece of heavy equipment is a big responsibility. Pre-start inspections and testing of essential controls, such as backup alarms and emergency stops, must be performed, and all unsatisfactory conditions reported. Spotters should be used when vehicles and equipment are backing up. Outriggers, wheel blocks, and other stabilizing devices recommended by the manufacturer should be in place prior to starting the equipment. The rated load capacity of the equipment being used should never be exceeded, and rigging should be chosen and inspected by a competent person before the load is rigged. Workers should never ride on or be transported in a piece of equipment. Always locate overhead power lines and make sure that equipment booms maintain a 20-foot clearance. Finally, be aware of your surroundings. Never walk around equipment, under loads, or in the swing radius. Make eye contact with the operator. Make sure he sees you and knows the direction you are moving. Cranes and buckets in concrete operations. Working around cranes and other material handling equipment requires crane setup, a competent operator, proper rigging, and a trained signal person. Be sure to barricade the swing radius area to protect against the danger of a swinging load. Only trained personnel should rig loads, as they are able to determine the weight of the material being lifted and choose the proper rigging. Operators should never swing a load over workers. If unavoidable, notify those below in advance. Never work beneath a load and use tag lines to guide the load into place. The operator must operate the equipment at least 20 feet from energized power lines. Rigging must be inspected daily and stored properly in a secure, dry area. Forklifts. Forklifts, or powered industrial lifts, provide heavy material handling. OSHA has mandatory training and certification requirements for forklift operators. Do not operate a forklift until you have had this training. Forklifts designed for indoor use can turn over if used outdoors on soft or uneven surfaces. Most deaths involving forklifts occur when a forklift overturns and the operator is not wearing a seat belt. Remember, forklifts must be inspected every day prior to use. Never exceed the weight-rated capacity. Travel at a safe speed with a clear view. Be aware of your surroundings. Check areas where the forklift will travel and operate for structural weakness. Do not operate on areas that will not support the forklift and its load. Be aware of overhead obstructions. Never leave your seat with the forklift running. Anyone working with or around a forklift has responsibility for safety. Always exercise caution and keep a safe working distance. Make eye contact with the operator. Be alert to backup alarms and stand clear of backing forklifts. Do not stand or pass under the elevated portion of the forklift. When the operator's view is obstructed, spotters are required. Never ride on a moving forklift. Keep hands and feet away from moving parts. Mixers. When concrete is ordered and delivered to a job site, it comes in a ready mix truck. Upon arrival at the job site, a qualified signal person or spotter guides the truck to a safe holding area. The driver must wait there until given the all-clear from the placing crew supervisor. The signal person, positioned to the rear of the ready mix truck on the driver's side, guides the driver into the placement area. At night, the area must be well lit, and the signal person should also have a light. Under no circumstances should the spotter or signal person walk in the path of the backing truck. Spotters have been run over and killed by trucks. Trucks must stay a minimum of 2 feet from the edge of an excavation to prevent a cave-in or equipment rollover. Never position yourself between the truck and the hopper or between the chute and the form. Keep your fingers out of the chute hinge area. Concrete forming safety. Form work is designed by a competent person, usually a professional engineer. It must be fabricated, erected, supported, braced, and maintained so that it can support, without failure, all vertical and lateral loads. All forming and shoring materials should be inspected prior to installation and removed from service if found to be defective. Large forms should be lifted and placed with heavy equipment by qualified personnel, and workers should stay clear of the equipment and moving form until the form is set in place. After placement, the forms are secured, braced, or shored in preparation for the rebar placement. Stripping forms can be hazardous. If you aren't careful, you could be struck by falling objects or punctured by contact with protruding nails. Stripping operations should only be performed by properly trained personnel under the direction of a qualified person. How to handle concrete safely. Exposure to airborne dust can cause irritation. Inhalation of high levels of dust may occur when emptying bags of cement. Sanding, grinding, or cutting concrete can also release dust. To protect yourself, always wear gloves, suitable eye protection, and respiratory protection. Wet concrete can cause serious skin problems and chemical burns. Usually, by the time a worker becomes aware of a concrete burn, the damage has occurred. Exposure leads to discoloration of the skin that eventually progresses to painful burns, ulcerations, and in severe cases may require amputation. You are required to familiarize yourself with all chemicals you will be working with. Always read the Safety Data Sheet, SDS. The SDS will explain the hazards of the chemical, first aid measures, proper handling and storage, and PPE. Wear long pants and a long-sleeved shirt to minimize exposure to the concrete. Apply protective barrier cream and wear impervious gloves. Eye and face protection keep the concrete from splashing into your eyes and onto your face. Wear rubber boots and tuck your pant legs into them. Always have an adequate supply of clean water nearby. If your skin does come into contact with wet concrete, wash it off immediately with pH-neutral soap. If it contacts your eyes, flush with water for 15 minutes and seek medical attention if the irritation persists. Concrete pumping. Concrete pumping is strenuous work with heavy equipment and should be done with great care. In addition to safety glasses, the hoseman and vibrator operator must wear face shields to protect from splatters. Because wet concrete flows through hoses and pipes under great pressure, it is extremely important to watch for kinking hoses, pump surge, and blowback. Training in the use of special tools is mandatory for anyone involved in concrete pumping operations. Always be aware of your surroundings and overhead obstructions, especially power lines. Rebar safety. Steel reinforcing bars, or rebar, are a known hazard on construction sites. Impalement is the most serious injury to which workers are exposed. One can also suffer scrapes and cuts from the sharp, sheared ends, trip or fall over horizontally placed or scrap rebar, get a rust or metal splinter, or fall during installation and tie-off. The best defense against impalement injuries is fall protection. Capping or bending the exposed ends should be done prior to working above rebar. Rebar installers, known as rod busters, are required to tie off when working on high walls or columns. These workers need training that includes how to properly wear a harness, choosing the appropriate lanyard, anchor points, and proper tie-off procedures. There is no quick, easy way to remove an impaled worker from a piece of rebar. Silica. When you grind, drill, saw cut, sandblast, or jackhammer concrete, you may be exposed to crystalline silica dust. Crystalline silica dust has been classified as a known human lung carcinogen. Breathing silica dust can cause silicosis, which is a preventable yet incurable disease of the lung. Recognize when a work activity may generate silica dust. Plan ahead to eliminate or control dust by using wet drilling or wet sawing. If these methods are not feasible, other measures, usually in the form of respiratory protection, may be needed. Manual materials handling. Strains and sprains may result in painful and disabling injuries. If an object is too heavy or bulky to lift comfortably, ask for help. Since most muscle strains and back injuries result from improper lifting, make sure you lift heavy objects correctly. That is, bend at the knees to grasp the weight, keeping your back straight and the load close to your body. Then lift gradually by straightening your legs. Reverse the procedure when setting down the load. Housekeeping. A clean job is a safe job. The saying, "What you see is what you get," certainly applies to a construction site. Keep trash and loose materials picked up and disposed of properly to reduce slip, trip, and fall hazards. Store materials so there is always a clear path around and between work areas. Pull or bend nails over and never leave scrap material in work areas, aisles, stairs, or near ladder landings. Don't leave open containers of flammables such as gasoline, paint, oil, grease, or adhesives. At night, the area must be well lit. Use portable lighting where general lighting is not sufficient. Clean and dispose of waste and scrap as the job progresses. We've covered a lot of material in this short presentation, but no DVD can cover every hazard. Become thoroughly familiar with your employer's safety policies and procedures and follow them to the letter. When in doubt, check with your supervisor. Each time you perform a task, ask and answer the following questions. 1. How could I get hurt? Could I fall, be struck by a falling object, get caught in or between a moving or fixed object, or be shocked? 2. Where is the energy? What is the magnitude of the energy? How can it be eliminated or controlled? 3. What could possibly go wrong? 4. Will I be exposed to any hazardous materials? And 5. What can I do to protect myself and my coworkers? You are a critical member of your company's safety team. If we follow the rules and look out for each other, we can all return home safely at the end of the day. It's up to you.